Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up? What is good? The King of Lightning here today, bringing you guys and gals another One Piece discussion video. Now, here's the thing. What I'm saying here is clearly very bold because there's a lot of flashback content, and it's hard-pressed to beat some of these flashbacks. It truly is. But I believe that Chapter 960 is just, of course, the beginning of what is going to be a stupendous flashback. The flashback of Kozuki Oden. And of course, we'll get to the details later on in the video. But I believe, and you can tell based on the title, you can tell based on the thumbnail, that this, in my personal opinion, is going to be the best flashback in the entirety of One Piece. The best flashback in the entirety of the One Piece story. Now, a lot of things I'm going to say in this video, I was going to say in my stream on Friday. However, that stream got canceled early because of an emergency. So unfortunately, I could not say them during the discussion. So I'm going to say them now and then some. Because the latest chapter of One Piece gassed Oden tremendously. When you look back, and this is where, again, I really want to stress the past before this chapter, as well as the mangaka's mindset going into this arc, and why that foundation that we've gotten in the past is going to build this stupendous flashback. So, recall, Jump Festa, I think it was 2018, I could be wrong about that one, but Jump Festa, Ichiro Oda made the proclamation that Wano Kuni was going to be a bigger, and I think it's very strongly alluded to, that it's going to be a better arc than Marineford War. And Marineford War, a lot of folks hold to high esteem. There are very few folks that think that Marineford War is actually a bad arc. I mean, there are some out there, definitely, but very few folks do who read One Piece at the bare minimum. The mangaka himself, Ichiro Oda, is making a claim that this arc is going to be bigger and probably better than Marineford War. And Oda doesn't really do that. Like, Oda doesn't do that. He doesn't hype up arcs like that. He didn't hype up Dressrosa like that, or Zou, where he himself came out and said, this is like the holy, oh my god, yeah, arc. The arc where you're gonna go crazy. He did talk about the year of Sanji with Whole Cake Island, but that was it. He just mentioned, yeah, like the year of Sanji. Boom. Wano being 2 years. I ain't complaining. Love it. But Wano Kuni, from as far as I can tell, from the author themselves, as well as his editors, has been an arc that's been hyped up substantially for very obvious reasons. It's a Japanese theme-oriented arc. Duh, obviously. The next thing is when you think about the history of Wano Kuni, starting from Thriller Bark, a lot of folks, after the Zoro and Ryoma fight, were excited, titillated at the fact that Wano Kuni was a place that they could go to, and it was going to be, of course, very Zoro, samurai themed, and so on. And then going into the new world, you have Kinemon, you have Momo, meet them in Punk Hazard, and Momo ate a dragon fruit. And then you go to Dressrosa, and then you have Kanjuro. Then you go to Zou, and then you have Raizo of the Mist. And on top of that, you have Duke Inoarashi and Nekomamushi, who are revealed to be scabbards of Kozuki Oden, a very powerful duo. And this also involved Goldie Roger himself. We found out all of a sudden that Goldie Roger and Whitebeard held this man to very high esteems, and then later on, even Shanks. And then, before we go back for Act 3, we then have Sakazuki and Sengoku talking about Kozuki Oden. Like, wait a minute. Like, this guy is insane, where the lore around Kozuki Oden is forever building, forever nonstop. In one of the latest chapters, we see Oden, and he's chilling with Goldie Roger, with Crocus, Shanks, Buggy, having a swell old time. This guy, based on the lore, before we even saw his face, the hype for Oden was tremendous. Truly a man among men. And now we get to the latest chapter. Chapter 960 of One Piece. And this chapter was nothing but pure, unadulterated Oden gas. Morgans, big news, aka fake news Morgans, couldn't do a better job of gassing somebody. This chapter is stupendous for Oden. And I'm not going to say that he is Yonko-level, because we know that Kaido ultimately subdued and beat down Oden. He did, well, okay, it is, I think, strongly presumed that Kaido beat down Oden. Yes, Oden gave Kaido that scar, but ultimately Oden lost to Kaido / Orochi somehow, some way, and then got boiled alive. But based on what we're seeing in this particular chapter, I mean, he's eating Oden in this chapter, but I'm guessing he's going to be boiled alive like a beast. Like, I'm not too sure how it's going to be, but I guarantee you, he's not going to be crying or screaming. He's going to be muscling through, maybe even smiling as he's boiled alive. It's going to be epic. I guarantee it's going to be epic. So given the grand scale that clearly Oda and the authors are trying to achieve for Wano Kuni, given the buildup that we have gotten ever since Thriller Bark for Wano Kuni, and how the Scabbards were introduced and were essentially a part of the Strat crew since Punk Hazard, given all of this, it only makes sense to believe that the flashback, the main flashback of the arc, the Oden flashback, is going to be on just as grand of a scale as the rest of the other material that we should be getting later on in Wano Kuni. But that being said, this flashback we start off with the Oden flashback is initiated by the Scabbards. So it is safe to say that this flashback that we're getting is going to be a relatively, like, it won't be the entire Oden flashback. It's going to be, let's say, part 1 of the Oden flashback. Part 2 will probably be initiated, or I would hope it would be initiated by, let's say, Marco or folks that have ties to the Whitebeard Pirates. And then part 3 will be initiated probably by, let's say, Hiri, Momo, Orochi. Like, I think one of those 3 will be the people that are going to usher in the third part, or like the last part, however many parts Oda wants to do it in. They'll be the ones to usher in the final Oden flashback. Now, with this one, of course, we're getting Oden. He was just ostracized. He was just disowned by Kozuki Sukiyaki. We're going to probably see him become the daimyo of Kuri, because we have Kinemon, we have Denjiro. We're probably going to get at some point later on this flashback, in this first initial flashback, Kiku, Kanjiro. We're going to probably see Yunashi and Enigma Mushi come in as well at some point. And of course, Ashura Doji. I think it's going to end off with Ashura Doji, him subduing Kuri. And then we're going to cut back to real time. And then we're going to see the Scabbards themselves in real time reaching Onigashima. Something of that sort. So this flashback is taking place while they're paddling over to Onigashima. Then the next flashback, and I really want to see this, honestly. And look, to be fair, the Roger Pirates are always covered in a veil, all right? Until, like, the second to last arc of One Piece, Oda won't probably reveal the full scope of the Roger Pirates, honestly. But the Whitebeard Pirates, most definitely, why not? We have the Jozu, we have the Marco, we have the Thatch, we have the Whitebeard Pirates in full. Of course, a little tidbits here and there that we find out later on about Whitebeard and the Whitebeard Pirates. Some are probably lies, like Bakken and Weevil. That's probably just a flat-out lie, honestly. But having the Whitebeard Pirates stuff as the part 2 of the Oden flashback would be awesome. And then setting sail, finally leaving Wano Kuni for the first time. Because according to this chapter, 960, Oden is such a stud. The man is such a Chad. The man is such an Adonis that he's damn near perfect in every way, with the exception of he just can't sail. The man's a demigod. He's one step away from godhood, but he just can't reach that one step, and that's sailing. If he could sail, the man's pretty much a god on earth. Like Emu, stand down. For real. It's Oden, or it was Oden, I should say. Before, of course, and gave him the Thunder Bagua. Ooh, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be juicy. But getting back to what I was saying before, the Whitebeard Pirate stuff, I really want to see it because I really want to see if Oden was the 2nd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. And then let's say, out of respect for Oden, because Oden, let's say Whitebeard got word that Oden was killed by Orochi and Kaido, mainly Kaido, of course, he decided to keep the role vacant because it was his way of paying respects to Oden. Something of that sort. Because then that nicely ties in Oden to Ace. Of course, symbolically. And then, of course, from Ace to Luffy. Because there are a lot of connections that you can make symbolically between Oden and Luffy. Like, for example, the amount of men that each serve under Oden and Luffy. You have 9 scabbards and you have 9 strats. Easy peasy. So, the whole thing here is that I really want to see that. I want to see what Oden was about on the Whitebeard Pirates. Again, the Roger Pirates, they're covered in the veil. Fine, I get it. Maybe not. But I still want to see some stuff, him leaving, and what was going on outside of Wano. I mean, again, will it happen? I don't know. But I would like to see Oden going up to Sky Piea for the first time, because it is very safe to say that he is the one that actually wrote, because we know that he knew the language of the ancients, of the people that wrote the poneglyphs. Not only do you know how to read it, but also you could write it as well. And we know that Roger could hear it, because he had the voice of all things, but the one that wrote it on Sky Piea, on the gold, next to the poneglyph, I want to see that. That'd be great. That would be great to see that, honestly. To see some adventures of Oden, Roger, and the Roger Pirates. But, again, Oda is going to probably not get to any of that stuff until, like, again, second last arc of One Piece. And then, finally, the last one, the return to Wano Kuni after his adventures with Roger and Whitebeard. And I do want to stress this, too. When you go to the Viz translation, let me read to you guys verbatim. In the Viz translation, Oden says this: I can't leave the country behind and then come back and demand, quote unquote, make me the shogun. But I will find a way to pass this will on. I shall work with my excellent vassals that I left back home to open the land of Wano and wait for a future in 20 years from now. This is kind of crazy. And wait for a future in 20 years from now. So I'm gonna do a separate video on this, because this kind of changes the whole scheme of what Oden was about when he returned to, or at least potentially it does. Let me not say for sure it does, but potentially it does, okay? Because from this standpoint, it's like Oden may have known a lot more about what was going to maybe happen to him than we first thought. But I want to see that nonetheless. And again, that flashback will probably be initiated through either Momo, Hiri, and or Orochi. But the return to Wano country, and then ultimately him being defeated by Orochi / Kaido. And then we're going to find out the atrocities that Orochi did against Oden or stuff like that. Because when Kinemon was talking about Oden and such to Luffy, when we don't actually hear it, but we see the reaction to it, where Luffy gets so mad, he calls Orochi something of like a cheap bastard, or that was a cheap move, something of that sort. It pissed off all the Straw Hats who were listening to the story. So with this all in mind, this is going to be a flashback, unlike any other flashback, where it's going to culminate throughout the entirety of the arc. In Dressrosa, you had a lot of flashbacks, but they were individual flashbacks. You had the flashback for Dofus, you had the flashback for Rebecca and Kiros, and so on. They were all individual flashbacks, and they tied to each other, of course, through the characters, but the flashbacks in themselves are separate. However, in this case, these flashbacks we're going to get, and mind you, there is a very low possibility that we're going to get the whole kin caboodle now. Oda did say that this year we are going to get the Oden flashback, and it's happening. But we're not getting the entire kin caboodle. I highly doubt that. If we do, and I'm wrong, fair enough, and I'm wrong. It is what it is. I'll take it. But the problem is that when you leave the main characters, mainly Luffy, okay? When you leave Luffy off screen for too long, sales start to drop because, you know, Luffy main character, where's Luffy? Folks get upset, and then sales wind up dropping. It is what is there, okay? So you don't want to leave the Straw Hats, mainly Luffy, off panel, off screen for too long. There are ways to incorporate Luffy. Let's say you go from flashback, then back to real time, then flashback, back to real time, and so on and so forth. But Oda himself is clearly making a genuine effort to put Oden on such a high pedestal that this flashback is going to be worth it. Not only in the past prior to this chapter, because again, the lore for Oden was stupendous, but in this chapter, I mean, very briefly, it goes off the rails here. Because we have the moment Kozuki Sakuyaki hops in and we see him, we get a summary of Oden. Before the age of 1, he threw his wet nurse to the ground. At age 2, he was quick enough to catch 2 hares at once. At age 4, he obliterated a bear by hurling a boulder at it. By age 6, he was regularly visiting the pleasure halls and spending the palace's money. At the age of 8, in a drunken rage, he engaged in a brawl with other gamblers, and by 9, he was on the Yakuza's blacklist, forbidden from entering the gambling den. It goes on and on and on. Alright, again, Big News Morgans couldn't do a better job of gassing somebody, alright? And Big News Morgan's gas tripled Luffy's bounty. So, in Oden's case, you can see how his lore is Yonko-level. The man himself, of course, I would argue, is not Yonko-level. But Big Mom smacking bears, Big Mom taking out a village of giants when she was 5 years old. 5 years old. And when she was very young, had a bounty of like 500 million. Stupidly high for a child. And yet here we have Oden. Though isolated in Wano country, the lore is real. This man obliterated a bear with a boulder at the age of 4, 1 year younger than Big Mom. So in the past, when I said that Oden maybe was just as strong as Rayleigh, if not stronger, it's very possible that he was actually, at that point in time, the second strongest person on the Roger Pirates. Not Rayleigh, Oden. That's a powerful dude. That is a solid lad. Respect that. So I am looking forward to it tremendously. We're going to see him take on some mountain god. We see how the guy, he's all man. He's all world. As Stephen A would say, the man is all world. He's eating hot pot Oden on top of the coals of this one guy, but it's all respect. Katsuza, I think his name was, where he puts the gore next to him. Boom. The next time I talk to you will be in the afterlife. Like salute, salutations. And then when he grabbed that hot pot and it was burning, still doesn't matter, not a big deal. Like he felt no pain. Almost like Kaido-ish, where he felt no pain. Kind of crazy. And then he's about to take on this mountain god, and he's all cool. He's all for it. It's getting real. It is getting real with Kozuki Oden. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And I guarantee you a lot of folks, probably me, are gonna have this flashback at like top 3 flashbacks in the entirety of One Piece come the end of it all. So that is my stance on the topic at hand. I'm gonna see you guys in gals later. And also, I'm really looking forward to Lady Toki. Lady Toki, I think, is gonna be very, like, her stuff is gonna be crazy. Like, there's actually potentially a flashback within a flashback for Lady Toki. Because her stuff, if she's been hopping through time, I mean, come on, it's going to be deep. So will there ever be a flashback within a flashback for Lady Toki? I hope so. I really do hope so. Because Wano should be the turning point where we start reaching the end game of One Piece. And getting those details would be stupendous. Truly stupendous. But that's it, guys. So, let me know your stance on the subject matter at hand. I'm going to catch you guys and gals later. Be sure to rate the video. It is not that hard to do. I guarantee you that, because I know that you all have a device called Zmouse Sue. You use Zmouse Sue to click, rate the video, to click, subscribe, to click on that Book Joy Squad. And of course, as always, feel free to please do comment in the comment section down below. Peace, y'all, and have a nice goddamn day. And the live reaction, the double live reaction, will come out this week for sure. Don't worry about that. Be on the lookout for that one. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. All that good stuff. I'll see you guys later. Have a nice one.